I'm Deborah Frieze, founder and president of the Boston Impact Initiative and a professor at Tufts University. And today I'm introducing you to a module on impact management. So this is an emerging and rapidly changing field. And there are three questions that are going to orient us through this module. The first question is, what is impact? And how do we integrate it into the investment process? Second question is, how do we measure impact? There's lots of conversation in the field today around impact measurement. What does that even mean? What is impact risk? What is impact return? How do we know if we're getting it? And then the third question is, what are impact covenants and when should we use them and when should we not use them? So those are the three orienting questions. And I'm very lucky today to have somebody who knows more than anyone else I know about the space, which is Aliana Pineiro, who is the Impact Director at Boston Impact Initiative, which is not a very common title. So Aliana, I would love for you to introduce yourself and tell us how you came to specialize in this impact management field.
Sure. Thank you, Deborah. My name is Aliana Pineiro, and at Boston Impact Initiative, I'm the Impact Director, and I've been with the organization for a few years now. But before that, I started my career in Wall Street in finance. And after a few years there, I realized that the big leagues of public market investing were not for me. So I switched over to work at a social enterprise in Latin America, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Came back to New York, and I worked at the Global Impact Investing Network, which really gave me a 30,000-foot view of the impact investing sector, practices that impact investors, this emerging field that impact investors were testing out. And on the research team there, I was able to speak to many different impact investors and really learn about their practice. But after a few years there, I realized I really wanted more action. I wanted to be working with entrepreneurs and really kind of be in the trenches of investing and being alongside these entrepreneurs as they're on this journey. And so was lucky enough to move back to Boston and find a role open at BII and have been in this really dream job for a few years now.
So we are very lucky to have you because I knew a little bit about impact. I knew enough to cause some trouble maybe when I was trying to embed impact management into our investment process, but didn't have the bigger system and the bigger story background that was happening out in the field as it was changing. So I mentioned that it is a relatively new field. Could you start by defining impact management for us?
Sure. So impact management is really the process of weaving in impact management, measurement, thinking about impact really all throughout the investment process. So it's a process that is unique to impact investing. And essentially what we do is we weave it through 4 stages of the investment process. There's the due diligence phase where we are looking at assessing impact, looking at the criteria that we've set out and seeing if our investment, how it matches up against that criteria. Then we think about hammering out the terms of a deal, and we are structuring the investment, and we're also structuring the impact. So you mentioned impact covenants earlier. That's where those would come in. And then we're looking at investment performance. So just like impact, or just like conventional investors, we're looking at performance from financial perspective, but also from an impact perspective. We have to figure out how we measure that, look at metrics to measure that, and also figure out how we improve it over time. And then finally, we look at impact at exit. So thinking about how do we keep this company that we've spent time and energy improving their impact throughout the life of the investment, how do we keep them on this great trajectory going forward? So impact at exit is that last phase.
So I think what's important to highlight of this is a lot of people come into it and they're like, oh, we have to do this impact measurement thing.
Yes.
And they think that's the be all end all. And so you're saying, okay, it's assessing it at the beginning, it's structuring it into the deal, it is measuring it, and it's managing it both in the portfolio and at exit. So it's a much more holistic and comprehensive approach to impact management, which is why we talk about it as impact management as opposed to impact measurement only.